Hello, I'm Fulton County Commissioner William Bill Edwards. Welcome to the South Fulton Good Things Show. Today we are delighted to have as our guest Dr. Donald Fennoy, Area Superintendent, Fulton County Schools, and Ms. Linda Bryant, District 4 School Board Representative. Welcome, Mr. Fennoy, Dr. Fennoy and Ms. Bryant.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We're glad to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about a sensitive issue to some people, but some people it's not. It's all about what people can do and can't do. We're going to talk about annexation and the school board. But before we get to that, Dr. Fennoy, give us a little bit about your background. Let the viewers know who you are.
Okay.
Most of them probably do, but
Yeah.
you know, and your vision for Fulton County Schools.
Well, I'm a lifetime educator, graduate of Florida A&M University, undergrad, and went on to teach in Orlando, Florida for a while, and was an administrator in Orlando, high school principal in Charlotte, and then 2 years prior to coming here, I trained principals for Prince George's County, Maryland, and Baltimore City schools. And for the last 2 years, I've been working for the great people of South Fulton as area superintendent for the South Learning Community. My vision is simple. I think the public schools in our community should be the first choice for folks. And we've been working hard for the last 2 years getting the right people in place to make sure our kids can compete globally. And so it's been an exciting 2 years, but we have a lot of work to do, and I look forward to the rest of the journey.
Right. How you think you've been received by the community and people who are working in Fulton County Schools now?
Well, the results speak for themselves. I think it's always a trial and error when you have to make tough decisions. But so far, so good. I mean, I think we look at some of the great examples of great principals that have already been here, the Shannon Fennoys, the Dundee cadets. And so trying to emulate the type of work that they've done, and we brought in some good people internally and some external folks. And so far, the test scores are on the rise. Our enrollment numbers are tremendous this year, so people are coming back. And I'm having a much more positive experience with Fulton County Schools on the South Side.
And having said that, what is your vision for the students as we go forward?
Well, definitely we want to make sure that we have them ready to go to work, to go to college, take advantage of the new efforts of the school board and others to create 21st century learning environments for them. And also let's get back to some basics around character education and having our mentors and people like yourself and others come in and really show our young people, especially our young men of color, that they do have a place in this world, and we've got to do our part as the adults to get them ready to receive what you're going to leave them and what I'm going to leave them. My own child, who now attends a South Fulton school, I'm excited about that, and so I think it's just a lot to do, but we're well on the way, and I see people galvanizing around their school leaders to do the right things.
Well, both of my children came out of the Fulton County school system, and I've got grandchildren in Fulton County school system.
I didn't know you were that old.
I'm still young. I still have grandchildren in the system. How long have you served in this capacity now?
2 years. 2 years. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And what have you brought? What have you seen the most important thing that we didn't do last year that we're doing this year?
Well, making sure that our principals have great teams around them. And making sure that we hold everyone accountable to be good stewards of the finances, make wise decisions, making sure that the community is involved as part of our charter system efforts, the governance councils, making sure that the parents' voice is heard as it relates to the things they want to see for their kids. And so that's a process. A lot of principals are used to being in control. And so now having to listen to the constituents and sit at the table and go through that process is something that we're working on now.
You know, some of us, when we go into jobs like yours and stuff, we always have a vision of what we want to do and some things we want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we don't accomplish them all.
Right.
What has been your biggest accomplishment of the goal that you've set, that you have completed?
That I have completed? Well, I haven't completed much, but the number one task for me is to get an understanding of the different communities within South Fulton. That's been a big task for me, just because everyone is different and everyone has different needs. The similarities are there, but understanding the power of the community and understanding the power of the voices. And Ms. Bryant and other board members have really pulled me along with that understanding that you've got to get involved, you've got to listen, and you can't do things to people, you have to do things with people. Mm-hmm. So that's been one of the biggest learning opportunities for me.
And Bill Edwards of the world helped you do that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
You've been representing us for many years.
That's correct. I like that. Mm-hmm.
What has been the greatest challenge for you in Fulton County School?
My greatest challenge has been making sure that South Fulton students achieve I don't want them compared against North Fulton or anything of that nature. I want them to achieve to their greatest potential, their ability. I want our test scores to reflect that we are as good as anybody in the nation. And right now what's happening is we're going up, you know, Westlake has made a 10-point gain in the last year. And we're
going to be talking about Westlake a little more.
And we have a lot of good programs going in place over there. The SAT program that we put in place to raise the SAT scores. These are the kind of programs that I have wanted to see in South Fulton, and I have wanted South Fulton to excel.
Well, what accomplishment do you think has helped you to obtain the overall mission of Fulton County Schools?
I think part of my accomplishments have been the support of the community. When we wanted a new Westlake, the community came out and supported me. When we needed to have some other things put in place, the community has come out and supported. Westlake has also, the community said, we'd like an international baccalaureate program. So what we've done is we only had one international baccalaureate, and that was at Riverwood. Now we are going to have an international baccalaureate over at Westlake. I fought very hard for new facilities, new programs, a different kind of curriculum, and a different way for children to learn. Because our students may not learn the same way as other students. We may have to put some things in place, and that's what we've done. And I have to give Dr. Fennoy some credit here. We've put in some programs that are pushing our students ahead.
One question as elected official that I get, I know you get all the time, what's the difference between Fulton County Schools and Fulton County government?
And Fulton County government?
Yes.
Or Fulton County
schools and Fulton County government. Some people think
there's a big old difference between
we hear it all the time.
Between Fulton County schools. I thought you were going to ask me what was the difference between Fulton County schools and the Atlanta public schools, but you're talking about the government.
Get to that
well,
too.
listen. They call you on several occasions sometimes when they should primarily be calling the school board. There's a big difference. You all represent the government and those entities that make up the government. With the Fulton County school system, we represent the schools, and with where I am is policies and procedures and any other issues that may come up with the schools. Well, let me just say this. Your first line of defense should be Dr. Fennoy here. But then parents generally will call me if there are some problems, and it's been a good thing that they usually call you, but you will also call me and say, this is where we need to, this is what I'm hearing in the community. So you have been good about letting me know what's out there in the community, and we have been able to respond to those issues when parents are upset.
Talk about the funding. Where does it come from? And I know a large percentage of the tax dollar we get goes to the school board.
Well, they come from tax dollars, and the state provides funding. At this point, I don't know, maybe Dr. Fennoy, you know the percentage, but I'm not thinking that I can't just give you right off the bat. But I'm thinking more than 60% is local funds, and then we get the rest of it from the state. So that's in the federal government, and grants.
Yes.
And those kinds of things. That's where we get our funding from.
And I think those grants and that you get are very beneficial to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually been working on some big grants for our Banneker cluster community schools, and really just trying to bring community resources back into our schools. I think during the budget crisis, we eliminated a lot of things that people needed, social services, mental health, and so trying to make sure that our schools are the hub is what a lot of our new grants are working toward.
The one thing that I do need to say, we have done the SEED grant. I think that's something we really need to talk about. The South Fulton has applied for these SEED grants. And when I say SEED grants, these are grants where a school, Dr. Fennoy could better probably explain this because he's, okay, go ahead.
Well, the state has allocated, I think, $4 million a year towards innovative projects at our schools, and each one of the schools had to develop a proposal with their governance council. So very excited about what happened in South Fulton. Schools like Stonewall Tell really ramping up their technology, Randolph Elementary, Westlake, Creekside, And some of those schools got upwards of $140,000 to do something unique for the population that they serve. And this is something that's going to be an ongoing thing as long as the state and the state superintendent continues to allocate those dollars.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. Please stay tuned and we'll be right back. More than half of Fulton's high schools received Advanced Placement Honor Awards from the Georgia Department of Education in 2013 as a result of high performance in advanced placement courses. Welcome back to the South Fulton Good Things Show. For those of you who have just tuned in, we have been speaking with Dr. Donald Fennoy, Area Superintendent, Fulton County Schools, and Ms. Linda Bryant, District 4 School Board Representative. Thank you guys for staying with us for the second half.
Yes, sir.
I know you couldn't wait to be here. We've been delighted on having this conversation. We're going to talk a little bit more about how the Fulton County school system differs from the Atlanta public school system.
Okay. There's a big difference here. APS and Fulton County Schools are two distinct constitutionally created schools districts that exist right up on top of each other, you might almost say. Fulton County school system, north and south, and the city of Atlanta is in the middle. Fulton County school system serves 13 other cities. APS, Atlanta Public School System, only serves one city. I've never served on the never served on the APS board, but I have served for many years on the Fulton County board. And I can only tell you the differences as far as where we are at this point. I don't know in detail what their differences might be, but we are geographically bound and have, as I said, 13 cities. And we are probably the only district in the United States that is non-contiguous. Every other district is contiguous, and so it makes us a very unique school system.
So you mean that you got Atlanta's in the middle. You
It's
jump
in the
over
middle.
Atlanta.
That's it.
And to get, okay.
Or I would say, and I'm thinking that I'm correct, we don't have east and west. We just have north and south.
Right.
That's it. And Atlanta is right in the middle.
Having said that, are there any joint activities between the two school systems that you have?
Well, there are not many joint activities, but there is one, and that is the Discovery Center with Junior Achievement that's down at the World Congress Center. This is a financial literacy center. And what we do, we send our children down and they learn how to manage their checkbooks, they learn how to run a business. And so Fulton and Atlanta, and I think a couple of other school districts all come to this Discovery Center. So that is one of the joint things that we do have together at this time. I know that Dr. Avosa and Dr. Karsten Finn are looking at some issues that they may be able to work together on. They are collaborating at this time.
So at this stage, that is the only educational service
that I
is
can
rendered
think of.
Across jurisdictional lines.
That is correct.
Okay, but you're looking for some more.
Well, Dr. Avosa is working with the APS superintendent to see what else maybe they can collaborate on.
All right, here's a good question for you. If one lives in the city of Atlanta, can educational opportunities be provided in the Fulton County school system or vice versa?
Let me just say this. If you reside in the city of Atlanta, you go to Atlanta Public Schools. That's just the bottom line on that. Unless you want to pay tuition, and you can only pay tuition and come to our schools if there's available room. If there, for instance, Westlake at this point has over 2,000 students. And as a matter of fact, we grew by maybe over 200 just this year. There is no room at Westlake. I mean, even if you tried to pay tuition and go there, we don't have the space at this time.
What would that tuition look like in terms of dollars? Can you give me a ballpark figure?
I don't, I'm not sure at this point because of the fact that that would have to be worked out if a child wanted to go to a school in Fulton County. But it would be, right now we have no tuition base. There is not. You can't pay tuition at this point, and we don't have a policy where you can pay tuition and go to the school. So really, the truth of the matter is, if you live in the Atlanta Public School, in the Atlanta Public School District, you go to schools in Atlanta Public. And if you live in Fulton County, you go to the Fulton County schools. But we don't have a policy.
Well, the only thing that I would add is right now we currently don't have students that we know come to our schools, but there's again, a lot of people in our communities are bringing their kids back, and so we don't have space for outside kids at this time.
Let's talk about the don't know part, because I want to get that in too. If I'm found that I used Ms. Jones' address or whatever to get my child into Fulton County schools, what is the penalty for that?
Well, there's not necessarily a penalty other than we will remove you from our roles, and we will. I mean, we are actively going through that process now, just because we were kind of surprised by how many new enrollees were coming into our schools. The Sandtown community, all of those schools' numbers are up. Creekside, I call it the state championship effect.
Yeah.
So what we're noticing is we now have to go back in and make sure we look at those affidavits and verify people's addresses, because Dr. Vosa told me in a meeting, he said, our taxpayers are the ones who deserve the experience in our schools. And unfortunately, as much as our heart goes out to those, if you don't pay taxes in our community, we can't allow you to take from the ones that do.
Ms. Bryant, I know you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Here. Dr. Fennoy said the affidavit, you sign an affidavit that you live in the community in which you are enrolling your children. It is possible that we can prosecute you as a misdemeanor. It is a misdemeanor crime to sign an affidavit and say that you live somewhere that you don't actually reside. If you're caught, you can be prosecuted as a misdemeanor.
It's notarized, yes.
Well, some of our so-called leaders are making statements, in terms of annexation. Because one of the big things about annexation, as anything else, especially in economic development, anything is, how is your school system? So what I'm hearing you saying is if my child goes to Westlake and I annex into Atlanta, then more than likely my child's going to go to Darrell.
I'm not particular about the schools, but I can say
whatever school, yeah,
if you annex to Atlanta Public Schools, then you will go to Atlanta Public Schools.
And that's important to see. Unless you pay the tuition, we don't have a process for which one can pay tuition now.
Not at this point.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because our schools are crowded, as Dr. Fennoy just said. I think Westlake was built for 2,000, and we're about at 2,200. And so there we are. We just don't have that space. We don't. And A. Philip Randolph, which is the elementary school, I think the capacity may be 600 and something.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are well over capacity at this point. Sandtown, same way. There isn't space, and therefore even if you tried to pay tuition, there is no space.
Okay, that kind of segues me in my next question, Dr. Fennoy. Then, what's on the horizon for the future for Fulton County Schools?
Well, great things are on the horizon. I think the principals are working hard. I think I'm seeing more community support. The resources are there. The board has, I don't know what they do in their private sessions, but there's obviously a lot of talking.
You don't want to know.
And niceties. But our schools aren't wanting for anything right now. And again, great principals like the Shannon Fennoys who are pushing the envelope and making sure that their kids have everything at their disposal. I'm noticing, like my son started kindergarten at Randolph. And, and I couldn't be more pleased with how just the customer service is improving, all of those factors that make me as a parent feel comfortable and my child participating in that particular school. And I have 28 schools, and I think my child could have gone to any of them. It just happens to be the closest to my home. But I'm just very excited about just the potential, the SAT work at all the high schools and, the AP work, AVID work, all of these, programs that are a little educational jargon, but our goal is to make sure that there is no differentiation because of geographic lines and the quality of education that our students receive. And, to be truthful, I want our kids to be able to compete against anybody in the world because, that's where it's leaning. And, I think about the Fulton Industrial Corridor. I got also kids that need to go to work. They need to go to work. And my real goal is for kids to want to come home after they go to college so that they can be contributing members of this community. Because that's the only way we make our communities better is those our best and brightest come back home and start paying taxes at home and producing families that then repopulate our communities. As I get older, I want my son's children to come back to where I'm from and be contributing members of that particular environment.
Well, I've been satisfied with the type of education that my children have gotten. And my daughter went off to Tennessee State and she graduated summa cum laude.
I won't hold that against her.
And so I know hundreds of children who have left the Fulton County school system and have done well, whether it be in college or other career pursuits. So we're doing a fantastic job. I'm a Westlake guy a little bit, I guess. I'm at everything at Westlake. I go to football games, basketball games, and I had a reason for doing that.
Yes,
but
sir.
I also love my other schools too. My son went to Creekside.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that I'm always there. The government needs to work. These two governments need to work together.
That's correct.
Because I believe that if we get the impression that over the country that our schools are some of the best in the world, that I guarantee you our economic development will go up. Families would run here like they did with Mr. Fennoy down at the elementary school. I got 2 granddaughters down there.
That's not what
And so I'm gonna also be in there. So once again, wonderful job for the school system. I know you get a lot of criticism, sometimes from me.
Absolutely.
But
that's your job.
you've done a great job. We're coming along, and I want to continue to be supportive
Yes, sir.
Of the Fulton County school system. So thank you for your willingness to be on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
And we appreciate you having us.
This ends our show for today. For more information on the topic we discussed, please contact my office at 404-612-8230. You may also email me at william.edwards@fultoncountyga.gov. I also invite you to visit my website at southfultongoodthings.com. Thanks for watching. Be sure to catch us again next month when we bring you more good things that are happening in South Fulton County.